All right.
Yeah. What's up? See, I'm watching on my phone now, and there's a delay, so I'm like watching the phone and then watching this shit.
Oh, yeah, it's probably like a couple seconds.
Yeah. So what's up, Facebook world, YouTubers, and all you other nitwits that tune into us every once in a while? We appreciate all of you. And tell you what, man, we got a kick-ass show here tonight. Dude, he's listen, I love watching this guy race. I really do.
I don't know who he is.
That's because you're an idiot.
No,
I'll tell you what, one of the best in the business. By far, probably one of my favorite races to watch, even on YouTube. From Syracuse Super Dirt Week. I mean, I was actually there the day he won it, and dude, it was awesome. It was awesome. So, what are we going to be talking about tonight? So, 10,000 to win street stock race. We were promoting the hell out of it most of the year, and this was the guy, I guess, behind the scenes. I really didn't know that until
me neither. Blew my mind actually.
Till, believe it or not, a good buddy of mine, Scooter Pete Van Ort, mentioned that, and didn't know that, and that makes me even more of a fan. But I don't think we can keep track of how many modified wins, small block wins this man has. Dude, he's one of the best in the business.
Absolutely.
And so, without further ado, what was his what's his nickname? Does he have a nickname? I'm a fan. Don't even know if he has a nickname.
I guess we'll find out, huh?
Yeah, well, let's find out. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, former Super Dirt Week up at Syracuse, the real Super Dirt Week winner, Mr. Frank Cozze.
All right.
So, Frank, could you hear us before?
Oh, yeah, I hear everything.
Okay, so listen, long-time fan, do you have a nickname?
I guess.
Yeah, see, exactly. I don't know either.
Yeah.
I just rather have them call me anything but my nickname.
So okay, so now we got to ask. So what's the nickname?
Yeah, well, there's a couple. So
okay,
we'll just say there's a couple, and I just have them call me.
So Frank is good. Frank is good. Yeah. So listen, man, we totally appreciate you joining us. We know it's been a busy year. So we are a couple of full fender guys, and we are in modified country. And we had no idea that you were one of the guys behind the scenes, if not the guy behind the scenes, putting that on.
Well, I really wasn't the only guy.
Okay.
I'll tell you how the whole thing came about. Doug Rose took over the ownership of Bridgeport Speedway and shortened the track. And we had gone and run a couple of races there. And I'd always had this thing about running a big street stock race. Now, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why I used to have a feeling for that division. It was because when I ran Orange County there, about 9 years I ran steady. When I was having a bad night, I'd walk down the back stretch. And I'd walk through the street stock pits and I'd say to myself, we're all over there ready to kill each other. And everybody over here may want to kill each other, but they're still having a good time.
Yeah, man.
They're just having a good time. At the end of the night, they're all hanging out and having a good time. And at the end of the night, everybody on the modified side is ready to kill somebody. And it would make me feel better to walk back there and see all that. And I always got thinking, and I watched those guys race. Sometimes they'd put on the best race of the night. So that being said, I thought it'd be really cool if these guys had a big race, somewhere. And of course, I kept it in the back of my mind. And then when Bridgeport shortened their track, and I ran there a few times, and was at Big Diamond for their big race at the end of the year last year. And I saw Doug walking through the pits, and I'd never talked to him before in my life other than say hello. And I figured, let me give it a shot, see if he'd be interested. And we talked briefly there, and he didn't say yes, and he didn't say no. And I thought, well, if he calls me back and he's interested, that's a start. We can get the ball rolling. And he did. He called me back at the end of the year there, and he said he'd be interested sitting down and talking about what I had in mind. And we met a couple times, and I told him what I had in mind and how I wanted to run it. And of course, he had his ideas, and I had my ideas, and we kind of got together in the middle and decided that we would run a 100-lap, 10,000 to win race. I didn't look through my computer knowledge of other racetracks and didn't see anybody had a race like that.
No,
I didn't see
not
anybody.
around here.
No.
I couldn't find anywhere for a street stock. Now I'm not
Yeah.
talking about a pro stock or
Yeah.
what other stocks there are. I'm just talking about the street stock that I couldn't find anybody that had that kind of race. And we had decided to make it a 2-day show to make it not only because we thought we were going to get a lot more cars, which we didn't, but we thought that would look more like a special deal to these guys, especially the guys that had to travel far away. And we did have guys from Indiana, Iowa, and Maine. I mean, it wasn't a 1-day trip for them. So we thought we'd get more out there and more from the South, but we didn't. We'll get into that reason why. But so we decided to make it a 2-day show and, run the heat deal. And we had some other ideas, but we kind of backed off of those because we just couldn't quite get enough cars to do what we wanted to do. Even though it wasn't a financial success, it was I had a good time doing it. I'll tell you.
What you did do was plant a seed for next year. I think next year it's going to be bigger than what you're anticipating. I hope it is. I think a lot of guys are leery as far as street stocks go to run down in Jersey because of the rules and because of who's inspecting the cars and all that other stuff. And we look at that as, some of us, the cars they don't cost that much. But I think from everywhere, from Iowa down south, Jersey, Pennsylvania, I think everybody sent the guinea pig. I know we did. We sent Walt Henry, and with Walt, what Walt did with what he had was not bad. And I think that I again, kind of like Nate Stevens with this unruly race, I think you're onto something here.
Yeah, I mean, when we didn't get enough entries, we could have backed out of it, and we sat down and talked, and he agreed with me. I said, look, I want to do this again next year, and if we pull the plug now, let's just forget about it. We can't never do it again. And so we decided to go on with it, and take whatever beating we were going to take. It was very hard to sit down and make rules for this race, and I probably spend, we're trying to get ready to do our racing season. So nights are kind of tight for us. We're all hobby racers. And we spent, an hour or two, a couple nights a week trying to iron out these rules. And it got to be so confusing that I had to cut some corners. I just couldn't get him to match up to all these different racetracks. I ended up with having, I think 30 different racetrack rules sitting in front of me every night. I tried to match all the lines together. And by the time the night got over, I was out of my mind. I was like, farther ahead than when I sat down, except I got a big headache. So when we did sit down, Doug and Ray Carroll, who was the tech inspector, and tried to iron out the rules, it was confusing. And we just hit so many gray areas, and some of the rules that I'm not familiar with that division other than watching them race. So I didn't exactly know when I start talking about head numbers and intakes, and I'm like, geez, we don't specifically have that in our divisions that we run. So I had to learn all that. And, the tire thing was easy. The suspension part was easy, but the motors were ungodly. And I think that really hurt us, that we didn't really come up with a really good set of motor rules. We just didn't know which way to go with it. And we didn't want to annihilate the guys that race there every week for sure. They're there every week. We didn't want to put them in a bad position, but we also knew that we couldn't race with 12 cars.
Right. So
we had to start opening up the rules a little bit. And when we just sat down and talked about it again, we've decided that we're going to have to open up the rules a little bit more to get more cars. And, as we need cars. We want to pay the money, and we want to make it better. And we had a lot of really good ideas that if we had excessive amount of cars, we were going to make sure that everybody got a shot to go home with something.
Right.
Not that they were going to come there and spend 2 days and buy tires and fuel and put up with the aggravation and then leave with nothing. We wanted them to get enough laps in that they felt comfortable that they were there, because it's a bank track. It's a little different. Everybody I talked to that was there that had never run there loved the place. And the racing, I thought, I sat in the booth and watched every lap of the race. I thought it was going to come right down to the end and be a heck of a race, and it almost did.
Yeah.
But, like I said, we just got to work on the rules.
Now, being somebody from the outside, Frank, were you surprised at the amount of rules that are different, the variations between the street stock class? Is that something that kind of surprised you a little bit?
Well, in today's racing, it didn't surprise me.
No, okay.
In our division, it's crazy. You can't. You want to race with one car anymore, you better just want to race one racetrack.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I saw the rules, I figured, well, the suspension rules are adjustable, but the motor, these guys aren't going to give up 50, 75 horsepower. So that part, so the only thing we could do to appease everybody was put weight on the cars. That's the quickest fix is weight. And that's probably how we're going to have to handle it again next year.
Yeah.
But we will have a more definite set of rules for next year, and we'll get the word out there better. Some of it was my fault because we're racing and he's running his racetrack and I'm trying to race. And of course I have a business, so that's 12 hours a day right there shot. And then we come home, work on a race car, and leave a whole lot of time to get down to the nitty gritty of where I was going to advertise this race. And he kind of took most of that over and did the best he could do with it. But we surely didn't get our name out there, get it out there enough. I felt that was my failure there.
But listen, it was out there more than you knew. We're from right around. I'm 15 minutes from Orange County Speedway, and I raced there for 18 years in a street stock. A half hour, 45 minutes from Accord. I've raced on and off there, same amount of about over 20 years or so on and off, and I'm same distance to Bethel. And same thing. And I could use the same car at all three tracks. But the rules, the tracks are within an hour of each other, and the rules are different for each one. And it's just, it's insane. It's insane. And this is what we're trying to do now. We're trying to consolidate, get everybody to work together. This way we can all move to, and then all you're worrying about is just setup. Yeah. But as far as getting the word out for this race, as soon as it hit social media, that's just free advertisement, and we all knew about it. Guys from 5 Mile Point, Pencan, Thunder Mountain, we were all talking about it, up there when, you go up there and race and all that other stuff. I think all you got to do is put it out once, and then guys like us, man, we're going to share the hell out of it.
Yeah. Knowing about it's okay. I get that, but promoting it, it's two different things,
Yeah.
So I didn't promote it.
The Bridgeport street stocks are so much faster than what we run around here. And I think that's what kind of turned guys away a little bit from going. Yeah. But knowing what was there, and if you guys open the rule and to basically listen, if you got it, and okay, if you have a Falcon transmission with an open motor, headers, and this, then you need to weigh this. I think that's the way to go. And then what do you have to complain about?
Right.
There's nothing, you know what I mean? And I agree with that 100%. Listen, it's sad, but you're absolutely correct. The street stocks were an entry-level division years ago, and now they're not. They're not. The four-cylinders are. I have 4 cars. I have 2 coil cars, and I have 2 leaf spring cars, and you have to have that if you're not gonna race at one track every week.
Yeah, I understand all that, but we have to get the rules a little bit closer so that we can get more cars from the south. We didn't get nobody from south of New Jersey. Anybody? I thought we would get more cars out of the Carolinas because there's a lot of street stocks down there.
Yeah, those guys are those with a UMP street stocks is what they call them. But they are. I think they'll make our pro stocks look slow. But I would have no issue whatsoever knowing what I know now and knowing what I saw at that race. I would have no issue racing against them. None whatsoever. None.
No, that track equals out a lot of stuff because of the banking.
Yeah.
And I saw some cars that I thought were really going to be fast weren't because they just didn't get to the right part of the banking. So that's always. neither here nor there. But to even out the rules would I think, like, I don't want to go to a race where I know I'm going there with not the right thing.
Right.
I don't want to go. I don't care if it's 50,000 to win. Time is too. There isn't enough of it for me to want to load up and go there knowing I'm going to race against guys that I'm not in the right motor program. So I shy away from those things. Today's, it's not easy to drive. 30 years ago, you loaded in a trailer and you drove down the road, and even if you were underpowered, you finished fifth. You made enough for the night and you went home.
Right.
But today, even if you win, hardly you make enough for the night. So, I can understand why a lot of these guys didn't want to do it. But I think if I had gone to some of these Friday night racetracks myself and talked to these guys and assured them that we were gonna, even out the rules, bring some ballast, some weight, because that's how we do it. That I think I'd have got more cars. So I mean, whether I want to, I'm not taking the direct blame totally, but I probably could have done better in getting more cars if I'd exerted myself a little bit more at nights I'm not racing. But like I said, there's only 24 hours in a day. We got to use them all somehow.
Right.
You think timing, Frank? You think doing it so late in the year? You think maybe doing it earlier in the year? I mean, the street stock guys are working on a shoestring budget. You're doing it at the end of the year. You think that maybe had a little bit of a say in it?
Well, I'm not a points racer, and I've never been one. So, but a lot of guys are, and it means something to them, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it personally. If you want to race for points and that's your deal, and that makes you feel good, then that's what you should do. And I don't do it. And I felt that racing after everyone's season was over eliminated that. Let's just say it's the last point race, and our race is the same weekend, and the guys don't want to leave. I'm going to be fourth in points, or I'm going to win the points, or whatever. It looks good. Looks to tell your grandkids, I guess. But I never thought about it like that, and so. But I thought about those guys, so that's why we ran it late. Now, we talked about it running it early in the year,
right?
But it's so iffy on weather. Which late's iffy on weather, but early before the points start. Well, now you got everybody isn't ready to go.
True.
Any way you look at it, whatever time of year you're going to run it, you're going to have negative and positive.
Right.
So we just thought we would run against the dirt week runs, because nobody I shouldn't say nobody, but a vast majority of the race fans down here don't go to dirt week. And we thought we would get some interest, 10,000 to win. We wanted to get some more modified drivers there because we opened it up to anybody. And we thought that would be a good thing to see a modified driver drive a street stock, if you want to call it that. And how do they measure up in one of those cars where there isn't that much technical? Well,
listen, we had a meeting. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, now, was that a negative effect on guys, you think, with the winner of the race? Was there any?
I don't know. His car looked good. They really they went there.
He earned it. He definitely earned it.
I know those guys. I know them all. I know the motor. He's my motor. The guy that built that motor is my motor builder. And I know the guy that owns the car well. I've known him for years. And Jimmy, I know, of course. And they put a big effort in it. And they got they walked out of there with $11,500 for a street stock race. That's what he wanted, because he wanted halfway money. Keels put up the halfway money, $1,500. So you can't hate him for that. I don't know that if the boy that runs second there, if he didn't lose his brakes at the end, I thought he was going to have a shot at it, because it was a good race. We really enjoyed it. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I need fans to pay the purse. Well, but you need them up there. You have to.
Right.
But we needed cars too. So
yeah.
Listen. My feelings is okay. I even said to Doug, and I think Doug agreed with me. If we got the turnout we thought we were going to get next year, we would have made it better. Okay, we would have made it more to win, or more through the field. And that's what our goal was. So I just said to him, well, we got to wait a year. That's all. We got to let these people know that we're going to do it. We're going to do it again, and we're going to pay the purse. We paid it. We took a financial hit on it, but listen, that's a live and learn. That's what you do in racing, and you correct the problems that you have, and try and go forward. I believe there's enough car base out there to do this thing and make it into something special for these guys.
Oh yeah.
And I got to tell you one more thing. I sat in the stands by myself the first night, and I don't know very many street stock people, and so many people came up to me and thanked me. They said, "Thank me and Doug for doing this." You know, they didn't say this is great. They didn't, the money's great. They just said, "Thank you for putting on a show like this," and they really appreciate it. I tell you what, it means a lot to me to want to try and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's where we're at.
We the beginning of the year, we had a couple of us street stock guys down here in Middletown and stuff. We sat down and actually had a conversation with Brett Hearn, and we were telling him about it. And even Brett said, "Jesus, I may want to build one myself." Would you guys do you think that it would entice maybe a car owner to put somebody like that, at that caliber, or even like Stuart Friesen or Matt Shepard, to maybe try and get one of them guys to come down and run one of these cars? I would rather finish second to Jimmy Blewett, knowing the caliber driver that he is, than go out there and just beat the local Saturday night street stock guy. That's my thought.
Yeah, I don't know. Modifieds race for a lot of big money today. There's enough big money shows where we used to have two. We used to have Eastern States and Syracuse, and the other 200 lappers didn't pay enough to even want to go, but we went because of points.
Right.
So I don't know that those guys would. I mean, it's the same old thing. Everybody looks at street stocks as the lowest division of all. Do you really want to step down to that division and race? Well, listen, race cars are race cars as far as I'm concerned. I'd like to do it, but I couldn't. But I'd have done it. I mean, wouldn't bother me. I always felt like if you're a modified guy and you step into street stock, you're actually at a disadvantage because you don't know how to make things work.
So I don't know if Clinton Mills. So a few years ago, my brother-in-law had a street stock, and we put Clinton had finished second in the Eastern States 200, maybe a year prior or so. Yeah. And so we put him in my brother-in-law's street stock in Middletown for a 40-lap race, and he made it to like lap 30, and then he pulled in. And he's like, I don't know how you guys drive these things every single week. He goes, these things are 30 years old. He goes, and you're trying to make them do shit they're not supposed to do. Yeah. And just that right there, I mean, that to me, that earned, we earned a lot of respect from him. And if you go to a lot of these tracks and stuff, and not to toot my own horn, but a lot of you guys, the modified guys, are on the trailers, and you guys are watching us, and we appreciate that. We really do. If we could afford to be where you are, I think we would. Listen, I'm a full fender guy. I always have been. I always will be. Can I afford a Sportsman? Yeah, till I wreck it. Yeah. But what I love about it is it's the old school, the way the old school racing used to be. It's the ingenuity. We're trying to take shit that's not supposed to be racing, and make do with what we have. And sometimes you have to make stuff to make stuff work. And that's what I love about it. Right. Whereas, a Sportsman, small block, modified, I can go to this guy, go buy it, and there it is.
Right. It's to me, street stock, that division is racing like it was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
You made almost everything.
Yeah.
Very, very little you could buy, and you had to use your ingenuity to race and be fast. And listen, I've talked to some of those guys in that division, and they're pretty smart. They're not dummies. You think they don't know nothing. They're coming here with a car that you don't have to know anything, but they really know how to make those cars work. So probably some of them could, I'm sure a lot of them could move up if they could afford it. But, that's a whole nother story.
Well, some of us choose not to. You know what I mean? We just, like I said, I could have a pretty decent Sportsman team, but I'm not into it. I'm really not. I've always been with this division. And the days of knocking the glass out and putting a cage in and going racing, it's not like that anymore. I mean, my car probably hits the scales, 2-3 times a week, and I don't even keep it at my house anymore. I got a guy who's working, and it's just they've evolved so much. But I think what you guys are doing you guys are on the right path, and I think that when this happens next year, I think it's going to be bigger than what you guys had this year. And as a street stock guy, thank you. We appreciate that. I already have, my wife works for the Hampton Inn. I told, listen, start looking for hotels because we're coming. You know what I mean? And I think it's awesome. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Well,
it almost feels like our Syracuse. I got to run Syracuse the last year it was there. I took my street stock, put a pro stock body on it with a crate motor, and I went and raced it. Did I qualify? No. But I just wanted to go and be like, yeah, listen, man, I ran Syracuse once.
Right. Well, this is
what you're starting to create now.
Right. We wanted to make it a 2-day show to make it special. Yeah. And we made sure everybody, we let them all pit in the infield, which New Jersey is kind of an iffy thing. But like Doug, we talked about it, and he said, well, if we're going to make this thing right for them, we can't have them having to pit out in the back. Let's just let them pit in the infield. And, New Jersey State went along with it because it's kind of, pretty safe. And so I thought that, the teams were really excited about hauling all their stuff in there and being able to pit in there. And, this was a big deal for them. And that's the way we wanted it to be. We didn't want it to be some dummy looking thing that, just paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, you have to understand that racing has to be fun.
100%.
I don't care what division you're racing in. At some point in the night, you have to say, well, this was worth it, or I quit. It's not picnic kind of fun. It's, anybody that races know that, going to a picnic and having fun and racing is two different things. It's just not, it's not the same. You have to be satisfied that it was a good night, even if you ran 8th.
Yeah.
And be satisfied with your night. And that's what we wanted. We wanted everybody to kind of leave there happy. And everybody I talked to after it was over, I went around most of the guys, and I got no bad feedback. Of course, the guys that didn't run as good as they thought they should have, they weren't super happy, but they weren't upset about the program.
I mean, and it kind of looked like it went off pretty smooth. I mean, I only saw one, pretty bad incident, but the guy kind of walked, he walked away all right. And the one guy that went down from our area there, Walt Henry, he got involved in that little mess there too. But even he made it, I think it was 9 laps when that guy tumbled, and he even said, he goes, listen, I'll definitely do it again. So there's a group of us up here this is our plan, man. We plan on coming,
the concern was, are you going to start, we were going to start 32 car, whatever the number was. And everybody said, oh, you better start 45. And I said, give these guys more credit. They'll make 100 laps. 18 guys, I think 18 or 19 guys finished the race, made the whole deal, So let's give them more, these guys are mechanics. These guys aren't, these guys aren't carpenters. They may be, but they understand what's going on. They made their cars last. So that was really cool to see them just keep going and going and going there. A lot of them I talked to after had a really great time for the whole 100. So thought it was on its way.
We are 100% looking forward to it to next year. And again, man, thank you so much for, on behalf of all the street stock guys up here, Orange County, Accord, Bethel. Listen, we appreciate it, and we're coming. We really are. Who are some of the other folks that behind the scenes, sponsors, all that stuff? I know, listen, you got to help pay the bills. Who are those guys that help you put this on?
Well, a good friend of mine has a real big repair shop in New Jersey, Bill Giel, and he sponsored the halfway money, the $1,500. So that was a big help. It's another thing where I didn't get. I know so many of the people that product sponsors that I should have hit up and I didn't, and go talk to them. But I thought, when we had talked about that, I said let's establish it once. Let everybody know next year. Truthfully, not having enough cars and taking a financial hit, and everybody knew we did. Everybody that was there knew we did. And saying that we were going to do it again, I think might have went better than having a fair field of cars and everything being okay. That they know that next year we're going to do it again. So, next year we'll have a better lineup of people that want to be involved. I already have people that have already called me and asked me next year if we're going to do this thing, we want to be involved. So I think we'll have something special for next year.
And kudos to paying the full price too. You know, you could have easily pulled the plug on that deal too, Roof. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
That's
like
easy to do.
It's easy to do, but listen, I've been at racetracks when we got there and the promoter came out and said, we're not paying you. We're not paying you what we're supposed to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
And I always used to think, well, then then you're not a promoter. You're a gambler. This is a gamble. I understand it's a gamble, but if you're not prepared, when we promoted Nazareth Speedway, that was 1988, so we're going back years. We always had our payoff ready before the night started. And that's the way we always felt about it. And we didn't do very well there because, it was the last year for the racetrack and it was run down and it was just a bad experience. But we did it and we never, ever not paid what we were supposed to pay. And so I feel the same way about that race. No way I was going to not, and Doug's same way. Doug's not just me, but Doug said the same thing. We're not going to not pay. If we do that, then we might as well never, ever think about doing it again. So
true. Yeah.
So do you think that I'm starting to see a lot of you guys from that that era as you're as the racing and stuff starts to wind down. I mean, you're starting to see Brett Hearn. He's kind of stepping away. I mean, the guy can still get it done. He just won down in Charlotte. Are you leaning more towards possibly being a racetrack promoter full time, or is it just listen? You're going to race till you can't race anymore. What's your future plans here?
No, no. I don't know that I could be a racetrack promoter. That's a tough job, and I know because we did it for a year, and I know it's thankless. I mean, you're fighting the weather. And you're fighting the 30 competitors in each division. I mean, nobody's happy. If you have a night where 75% of everybody's happy, that's a hell of a night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got a business. Like I got enough aggravation with that. But I would like to do some races like this. There's enough modified races. There's some good promoters out there. And you got Deo, you got some good promoters out there, and they're on the ball, and then they're getting the good dates, and that's the way it's going to be. But this division has nothing. I want cars. I want to see cars in the pits. I want to see 8 heats. Don't bother me. That means that it's special. You win a race where there was 8-10 heats, and you win that feature that night. You get to the end of the night and you look over the whole pitch and you go, "Wow, that was better than everybody here tonight."
Oh yeah,
that's pretty special. That's what I'm looking for. I like to see guys that never get the headlines get them. I like it. I think it's cool.
What I liked about it the most was watching the highlights and stuff was just the different diverse cars that you saw. Blewett had one style. Then, you got Walt Henry, who had a legitimate 85 Monte Carlo. You had guys with Camaros. And it just, I loved it. That's the old school 50s and 60s coupe bodies and guys just trying to make stuff work. And that's what it was about. And again, I think you guys hit a home run. I know financially it sucked for you, but I think, from a racer's point of view and even, some full fender fans, man, you guys hit a home run with this, and I think next year is just going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're hoping for. We're going to work at it and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, getting the people there as well. It's trying to sell that to the average modified racer to come watch a street stock race. You're up against it, right off the bat with that.
Right. Well, we thought if we had some modified drivers, that would help.
Yeah.
Because not that very few guys from down here go to Dirt Week.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have? Forgive me. Did you have another division racing that weekend, or was it just all street?
Yeah, we had several divisions. We had the 602 Sportsmans. We had four cylinders, or front wheel drive 4 cylinders. They took some of the pressure off. Otherwise, we'd have really taken a bad spill there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, it was we'd like to make that a little bit better with it. Like I said, there's a lot of big modified races, very big sportsman races, and there's no big street stock races. So we were hoping to get the lesser divisions and get the racers interested in it, and that's how we would build the thing. It's going to take a couple of years to get it up there. I know that, but as long as we keep going, and if we can get to double the cars we had this year, next year, heck, that's gonna be a heck of a show. And we will. I think we will. We'll get the rules down where I think everybody. You're not going to make everybody happy.
Nope.
You got to.
What are some of the rules that you're looking to possibly either change or add?
Bodies. Because some of the boys that run there, some of the guys that ran there that run Bridgeport, their bodies were really stock. And I know they weren't complaining, but like I said, do you really want to go to a race you don't stand a chance in? The car that won was pretty slick. Mm-hmm. So, we don't want to discourage that, but we don't want it to get out of hand. And so we're going to make some more solid, better body rules for around, get some more cars from around the country. I think we will definitely work on the weight end of it. We're gonna work on the weight end of it. That's the easy. Like I said, it's the easiest fix. Nobody wants to come there and build half a new race car to go there.
Right.
So we rather just do the weight. Weight's the biggest killer in racing. It's the one thing that you can put on a car that'll make it even it out. And that's the way I feel about it. I'm pretty sure you guys probably do too. Right. Nobody wants to be 300 pounds over what they're supposed to be. That's a lot of weight. Carry it around. You know about it. So, but we thought the tire rule was okay. I don't exactly remember what it was because I have a hard. It
was a form of a American racer. Walt said that they were not hard. He actually he loved the tire. He thought it was awesome.
No, the tire was good. The tire worked well.
Yeah.
And the suspensions were okay. We stuck to the suspension pretty close. We didn't let that get out of hand. You couldn't come in there with anything other than that one was in the rules. We pretty much let that stay on.
That was at stock location shocks, or were you allowed to move them around? Or
well, in the back, I think you were in the back, not in the front.
Okay, so the front had to be stock location.
Yeah, front had to be stock. I think the arms in the back had to be stock, but don't hold me to that. I'd have to go back to the rules. Yep. And Ray Carroll. I don't know if you know who Ray Carroll is. Ray Carroll's been around an awful long time. He's owned a lot of race cars, Tabloid Graphics. Yep. I don't know if you remember that. That was his deal. So he was right on top of most of it, and when it looked like it was a gray area, of course, he said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, we got 31 cars. What do you want to do? We can't send them home. We'll have to have fans out of the grandstands racing if we send them home to fill the field. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So we had to kind of bend the rules there, and we just stuck a bunch of weight on. Matter of fact, I had to go home Friday night and get all the ballast I had, all my cars and in my trailer and bring it down. Like 300 pounds of ballast I brought down so our guys could bolt it on their cars. And then after it was over, I had to wait for them all to get it off because I race the next week. So that was the quickest, easiest way to fix the problem. And that's, we'll have a little better motor rules this coming year. We're going to have to let it be more than just the Bridgeport rules. We're gonna have to.
Yeah. Now, if you were to do something like that, what would you prefer up there? A crate motor, open motor? What would be your choice?
Well, anytime you have anything that says crate, then you have cheat right behind it, so that's not good. Open motors. I don't really know what to say about that. I prefer open, but that's not street stock.
Yeah.
So. I mean, the motor rules got to be, you got to have an intake rule. You got to have a carburetor rule. I don't know what's inside. I don't know. We're going to start ripping heads off in oil pans. I don't think we want to do that before the race starts. I'm not going to do that. So you got to kind of let some of that stuff go and say, hey, here's the deal. And this was our plan originally. These are the motor rules. We had originally decided not to check hardly anything, just safety stuff before the show started, with understanding at the driver's meeting, and not as a threat, but say at the driver's meeting, fellas, you know what the rules are. If you think you have a gray area, speak up and we'll look at it and put weight on the car to make it even, because we didn't have enough cars. That was going to be that was how we were going to handle that, instead of going, if you're illegal, you're out, you're done, you're finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Everybody was there and everybody was energetic to race. So let's put weight on them. And so Doug said, let's do it that way. it was a last minute thing, but what were we going to do? Our hands were kind of tied at that point. So we did the weight thing, and everybody seemed to be happy with it. I think, like I said, it's the quickest, easiest fix to a problem is weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 2021, been racing a little bit, all over the little bit here and there. How's your modified season been going so far?
Well, it got better here at the end, but up until then, it's been pretty bad. We went through a lot of motor problems, and not particularly my motor builder's problem. I'm a little crazy when it comes to trying stuff and lightweight stuff, and our rules are pretty tight. And we started putting stuff in the motor that he didn't really want to do, and I wanted to because, we're looking for light, and so we hurt some motors, and some were good parts failures, and some were just stuff that was too light. And if I broke it once, I'd think, well, I broke it once, so I can't break it twice. Lightning don't strike twice. But and then once we get the motors running, then we started wrecking, and then you know how it is.
Yeah.
When the nose of the big ship goes down, it's tough to pull it back up. So once we got in that bad rhythm. But lately we've been okay. We didn't run real particularly good last night at Bridgeport, but we weren't terrible. We just weren't as fast as the fastest cars. But these coil cars, I'm an old guy, and I'm not used to hanging out of the seat. I'm getting it. But, when I'm having the right side of my helmet drag on the ground, that's it takes some getting used to. And Bridgeport's an ugly, fast place. I mean, it's I'm telling you, they run 30-lap features there because your tongue hangs out at the end of 30. And I know I'm old, but I'm in pretty good shape. And 50 laps last night. By the end of the night, I was tired because a 100-lapper you can kind of back off, and not really back off, but you can rhythm yourself a little bit and save yourself. But 50 laps, it was flat to the mat all night long. So, but we got a win there at New Egypt. Got lucky there, got a win, and run second last week in Delaware. So at Georgetown. So things are getting well. Of course, we got one more race, so it can either be bad or good. I wouldn't want to say that it was a great year with 3 good finishes. That wouldn't. That wouldn't add up. So.
Well, a good thing you're not a points racer, right?
Listen, I last year I ran serious for points was an 06 at New Egypt, and I keep pretty good track of money made and what we spend. Not that it matters, but I keep track of it because I like to know. And when I sat down and figured out to win that $10,000 point championship cost me about $14,500, and things that I wouldn't have raced, nights I wouldn't have raced on stuff that was hurt, that I finished and I should have pulled off. So, you know what I mean? So you get a big trophy and you get your name on the thing, and that's, if that's what you like, that's what you like, but I don't know.
I hate points racing. I hate it.
I've had times, even when I ran Orange County, where I was, I probably wouldn't have won it because, of course, I raced the years Brett raced there. So, he pretty much, he could drive around there with his eyes closed. And, but nights I would, years I would have had a good finish in points. And at the end of the year, a big race came up and I was like, we're out of here. Let's go race the big race. Yeah. But, like I said, guys like points racing, and there's nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of points racing.
Listen, I've had years where we started off really well and leading the points at Middletown, and I've just walked away. It just wasn't fun. Yeah. I just went somewhere else, or I took a week off and hung out by the fire pit or something like that. It's just, I can't stand it. My one guy who helps me out there, Tony, he's a big points guy. He loves it, and when I show up Sunday morning to his shop early and he knows that I'm getting ready to pull he loses his mind. He's, oh, come on. Nah, it's got to be fun. You really do. It's got to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I've won a few of them that were close, and I thought, well, this is really cool. We're going to race right down to the last night, and but most of the times, any point championships I've ever won, I had a good year at that track. So. Yeah. It's not like I mean, I won a point championship at Flemington in 1984, modified point championship. Didn't win a race.
Oh shit!
And you come down to the last race, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm probably going to win the point championship. How's that going to look? Then win a race, you know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine how bad the other guys were?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
That's cool.
All right, Frank. We've come to that point of the show, man, where we always like to ask, our guests that are on there. Listen, man, you've won a lot of big races, and Syracuse is probably the biggest one. Before I even ask the question, do you think Super Dirt Week is still Super Dirt Week without the mile?
No, it's a 200 lapper that pays more than they used to pay. You know, I mean, we ran 200 lappers for 15 and 20,000. Now it pays 50,000. I like the fairgrounds because of the atmosphere, but you know, and I know that the racing was really hard there.
Yeah,
and it was a money eater. If you know, I mean, the year we won it, we went there with our car we've been running all year. And we never worked on nothing from July to the time we left for the race, but gas mileage. You know, we built that motor. That motor was 30, 50 horsepower off the good motors. But we put it on the dyno. And I remember when we dynoed it, and my motor builder calls me, and I said, what's the number? And he said, well, it makes 820 horsepower. And I was like, oh, Christ, that's bad. And he goes, it gets ungodly and burns no gas.
Yeah.
I said to him, well, it got no power, so it shouldn't burn no gas. Yeah. He said, well, no, wait a minute. You know, my dyno's probably, you put these other motors on, he goes, and you'll be 30 or 40 off. He goes, but you can go a long way. We went 129 laps the year I won. The next year, when we pitted the second time, we didn't put no gas in. We just held the gas can up because that was a rule. And we went 143 and still had a gallon left over. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we didn't hold no more gas than anybody else. Everybody says, "Oh, you had a big tank." No. We had a tank. We had every trick.
You win a race like that, and it's always cheating. He's this. He's that. Jesus Christ, man!
We were carrying as much fuel as everybody else.
Yeah,
and maybe a little bit more, but not because we were doing anything other than we made. You know, Craig Mitchell. You know, if you know Hollywood.
Yeah. Yep.
He made the fuel cell himself for me.
Yeah.
So it was legal, but it got every ounce of fuel in that thing. You couldn't get no more. And I still have, as a matter of fact, I still have the car. I have everything I had from that year, just parked in the corner. And, I'll never sit in my car. But
no. Listen, I got chassis like that.
Yeah.
They sit out behind the garage, man. Hey, man, what do you want for that? Nothing. That thing will rot before I even sell it. Nothing.
No.
But I mean, you've won so many big races. What would be the one race that you always wanted to win and just kind of eluded you? What would be that one? Other than the Daytona 500. So let's take
I know what you mean. Yeah. You know, the funny thing is I never won I tell you a track I never won at that I liked. And I won at a lot of different racetracks, so I'm fortunate, you know. But Weedsport, and I know it sounds weird, that place has drove me crazy. Worse than Lebanon Valley. Lebanon Valley, I never really cared for, period. So, but Weedsport, I liked it there. And I couldn't do anything right there in my whole. I wish I just could have won a race there. If I could have won one race there, I would have been really happy. You know, I think about that. It's really weird that you think about Weedsport.
Yeah.
Now back then it was not the nicest place in the world. Now it's pretty classy place. But you know, I would always wished I could have just won a race there. And who knows? I'll probably never go back there and race again. You know, I mean, I've done the dirt races. So, but that was the one place. To win Eastern States the first year I won it was exactly 20 years since my father's car. I won it with Altaz in 80 drove it. He won it in 69. I won it in 89. So that was pretty cool. And I thought, hey, you're never going to get no better than this. And then we come back next year and won it again. And I was like, well, this is crazy. This ain't right, you know. Yeah. And then to go to Fulton and win it to 200 there, which which is a kind of funny story because I was supposed to drive for Bernie Smith on Reclamation. I don't know if you remember Bernie Smith.
I do, yeah. Jeff Hetzler drove for him, right?
After I drove for him. Yeah. And I was supposed to drive for him, and that Wednesday he calls me up, says, we're not going. And I said, oh, all right. And I called my Windsor car owner up. We had I think our car weighed 1,980 pounds to run Windsor because there was no weight limit. And I said, you want to go to Victoria 200? And then those guys were construction guys. They didn't even know, never heard of it, and he went, wherever you want to go, we'll go. So we went, we ended up winning the thing, and they were like, this is crazy, and so that was pretty cool,
Yeah. Did you always know that you were going to be a racer?
Well, my dad had race cars.
Yeah.
He raced. My dad raced in Rupert Stadium in Newark, New Jersey. That's where we were from originally. And then he got, he started out, he bought an old clunker for one of the guys that worked for him. It was a hot ride, and he thought he'll put him in a race car and see what he looks like. And, of course, it just grew up from there. And my dad just was the kind of guy he'd start dabbling in something, and then he'd start, if he wasn't doing good, he'd have to do better. And then then eventually he got to the really good drivers. He said, we're just going to go hire a good driver and get a good cars, and we're just going to go race like that. We're not going to do this bull out of this, junkyard motors. Get over that. So, when it all came about, of course, I played sports in high school, and I really didn't go to that. I went to the races, but it wasn't number one. But I think by my senior year, when I started racing in my senior year, so by that time, I knew I wanted to race. And I'd be truthful with you. First couple of races I raced, I thought, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to pass anybody. I think a lot of guys start out like that, and then better and better, and you just get more like you want to do it, and eventually instead of running the consi, you start qualifying in the heat, and then you start winning the heat, and then you start how it is.
Yeah. I started up at Bethel Motor Speedway, a little small asphalt track, and in a 6-cylinder, and after that I went to Middletown, and I can remember pulling out on the track going, why are the damn straightaway so long? When the hell do we turn?
Oh yeah.
Did you jump right into a modified once you started racing, or was there because I think back then it was like 320 mods or something like that, right? When you first started.
I started at the rookie division in Flemington.
Okay.
That was 1974, and back then the rookie division, now they get 8 cars. We had 35 first night we ran, and I started, and I still remember I started 30 in the 30 somewhere. And I remember this is kind of funny because we raced in the fields all the time. That was our big deal. We all had field cars. When I threw the green flag, and everybody just stayed 2 by 2, and I was like, well, I'm going to pass cars. So I pulled out and passed everybody and ended up winning the thing. Of course, I had a good car. I had a Bud Olson car that was built 3 years before that, and he had the throttle stuck on it at Middletown, and it needed a front clip. So my dad said, if you want to race, there's the car, put a clip on it. You got to build the motor. Well, building the motor was no big deal. We did them already. And clipping it was no big deal. We could do it all. So that's how it kind of started out. And when I never won, I think I won maybe 2 sportsman features before I moved up. And I won the first Brewerton 100 in 1975, paid $1,400. Got $1,400 to win it, and that was the most money in the whole world. I ain't never seen that kind of money. And I remember they paid in cash. Of course, back then it was $5 to get in, so I had a lot of singles and 5s in my pocket. The wad was about 3 inches thick. And every time I stopped for gas on the way home, I'd smack my hip to make sure the money stayed in my pocket. It was just a big bulge. And I got home and I said to my dad, I think maybe I'm going to go race modifieds for the last 2 races of the year at Nazareth. And he said, well, what are you going to race with, a 320? Because everything was big block then.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you got a motor sitting back there. You're not using it. And he goes, well, I'll rent it to you. I said, okay.
1,400, right?
No, he said, I want 50% of whatever you're going to make. And then he said, just take it because you're not going to make anything probably. So I raced 1 race, and then the season was over. So, but that's how I kind of got into it. And then we, I got with Olson's. I drove their house car there for 3 years, and took off from there. I think we run second at Syracuse in 1978. We run second to Ballou.
Yep.
I'd have been 22, and But I remember Bud telling me, "Yeah, don't worry, you'll win this thing a bunch of times before it's over." And I didn't win it again. I didn't win it until, 35 years later.
35 years
Oh
later.
shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that
That
was
was a really cool Super Dirt week for me. Was watching first and they always I hate when they call somebody at your caliber the underdog. You know what I mean? Because you really weren't the underdog. You always ran well up at Syracuse. But to watch you finally pull it off, dude, that was awesome. That was a really cool day. That really was.
That you never get a race to go more your way than that went my way.
It's perfect. Yeah. And, you guys could do no wrong. You really could. I mean,
we didn't time well, and then we didn't heat race well. And I remember coming in after the heat race, and I wasn't real happy. I think we just made it actually. And I got out of the car, and before I turned into a total jerk, I decided to go into my toter home and get a shower and get something to eat. Calm down because it was a warm day. I remember, and I went in and did all that and sat around in there for 45 minutes. I came out, and all my guys were piled at the back of the trailer around the computer, and I'm thinking these guys are looking at porn, and they're going, and they're like, "You got to come over here and look at this." And I'm going, "Jesus," Then I'm thinking, I'll take a look, see what's going on. And I get in there, and they went, and I had this chart up, the gas mileage chart, and they went, "You won't believe this. Look at this." And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, "Well, that can't be right." I said, "You're. I've never seen anything like that here." And I said, "Check it." And they said, "We did." And I said, "Then check it again." And they said, "We checked it 3 times already," because I was in the toter home for a couple hours, and they had already done it, drained it right out, weighed it, put it all back in. And they were like, "Look, we're going to be able to go 135 laps on a tank of gas with 10% cautions, blah, blah, blah." They had the chart out from every year that we'd run there and how many cautions were every year, and averaged out and when they were. And I was like, this is a real ace in the hole here. So I went around the rest of the week preaching that I suck so bad that I didn't think I'd probably get lapped because I started 33rd or 5th. I think we'll probably get lapped in the first 20 or 30 laps. And we didn't, of course. And the caution came out like within 2 laps every time when I needed it. But one thing did happen. As soon as a caution would come out when I was leading, I'd pop that thing out of gear and shut the motor off. And then as soon as, I would get to the point where I had to start it back up, I'd start it back up. Well, hear the starter wire come off.
Oh, shit.
And I went to hit the button and it wouldn't start. And I went, "Oh, my God, what am I going to do? Is some bitch going to stall on me and I'm going to get stuck out here and it's going to be a bad scene." And I jammed, let it slow down and I put it in creeper. I shoved it up in creeper gear and it just caught the motor right and started the thing up. I was like, I didn't shut it off for the rest of the race, but that was a scary moment for me, But that was cool. It was cool.
Now, have you ever won the 76er at Grandview?
Nope.
No.
Well, best car I had there was this year, and just one of them deals where I got somebody spun out, and by the time I got there, I couldn't see him, and the car in front of me made a right, and I drove right into the guy. I didn't see him.
Oh, shit.
It was Mimi. Had to be Mimi DeSantis.
DeSantis, yeah.
I kind of felt, no, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's another prestigious race, for a lot of guys.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be a lot of more outsiders. There isn't that many.
Yeah.
There was a couple of big races that weekend. I think somebody had a big race.
Yeah, well, I want, yeah.
And but when there's no big race, then you got them all there. It's 60 cars, and there's only like the hard part about that race is everybody draws, not the top 4 in each heat. Everybody draws. So if there's 28 cars that qualify through the heats, 28 guys draw. So you could conceivably start 28th if you won your heat. That's the hard part about that. And it's a hard place. It's a hard place anyway. It's fast and it's narrow, and I love racing there.
Let's say it's a cool racetrack. It really is.
You get to the end of the night when the track blows off and the good cars are good. That's when it's the most fun.
Yeah.
When it's tacky and fast, it's hard there because everybody goes fast. But when it blows off and turns shiny, slippery, that's when it's fun. It gets real wide there.
What would you say is your most favorite track? Well, you said Weedsport, but other than Weedsport.
Well, Weedsport isn't my favorite track. I just like to win a race there. I like
to win one there.
Yeah. I always liked New Egypt when it was good to race on. Last time I was there, it was as racy as I've seen it in years.
Bridgeport's got to be the spot now.
Well, Bridgeport's fast.
I mean, for
I ain't,
racing,
I ain't super crazy about high bank racetracks, so
no. Okay.
but I like it there. I mean, it's a good place to race. You can race if your car is good going forward. You're not going to hold them off. I liked Middletown when it had some banking, and when they had the wall on top of the wall.
Yeah,
You could start 18th and then 15 laps be leading. That was to me the most fun.
Yeah.
You know. So, and I always like the covered grandstand there. Real feeling when you win a race there and get out and there's a covered grandstand. I felt like I was in the 50s.
Yeah.
So, Frank, again, man, we appreciate you joining us here tonight. And listen, whatever we can do to help promote that race for next year. Like I said, we're a couple of full fender guys, and we truly appreciate everything you did for that race and for the upcoming season. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck to you for the rest of the year, and we'd love to have you back on next year again, definitely, to help promote the hell out of that thing, man. And I think you guys are on to something awesome. I really do.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll take you up on that offer to come back on. I'd like to get the rules going and let everybody know what we're doing. Have a little more communication with the racers out there. That's what we need to do this time around, and you guys will help the bunch right here. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, we want to thank Scooter Pete Van Noort too. Scooter's the one who he's a good buddy of mine. Known Pete a long time, and
he reached out to me, and I appreciate it. And, we have a little history together. So
man, he's got the gift of gab, So he's a good dude. He's a good dude. Yeah. And so listen, man, guys like that, he can do the talking for us, up here. Up here a little more north, from where you guys are. And I tell you, from what we saw and what we heard, and like I said, we sent a guinea pig down, Walt Henry, and he had a blast, and he did well. He did well. If he hadn't got caught in that mess, so hopefully a bunch of us are going to convoy down, and man, we're looking forward to it.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, fellas. Have a good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well, dude, he made that easy. I don't think we said maybe 5 words. Dude, awesome.
Yeah, he definitely.
Listen, that's a guy with some stories, man. That I never knew that about the starter wire. The year he won Syracuse, he never said a word about it.
That's the awesome thing. Someone like that, they got stories for days.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love it. But to have somebody, and this is what I've been preaching, and I what's the the saying, I can't help but being biased about it because I'm a full fender guy.
Yep.
But everybody has said it. Even Brett Hearn has said it. He goes, man, when you guys go out and race, he goes, we're all watching. You guys put on an awesome show.
All the time.
If you watch the highlights on YouTube, social media from that race, Blewett didn't run away with that.
Oh, no, he earned it. He earned it. I only asked that question because you hear it with the modified guys dropping the sportsman. People, that's the only reason why I asked that, what his opinion was,
Somebody like me who's never gonna be able to run with somebody like Brett Hearn or Frank Cozze or Jimmy Blewett or some of your modified guys, and they drop down and want to race with me, dude. That to me, I take that as a compliment. I really do.
It's good. It's cool. Yeah,
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
unless you're Ray Tarantino and you're just running 4 cylinders, then whatever.
Oh shit!
Just kidding, Ray.
Uh-oh.
But
shots
yeah,
fired.
man. Listen, it's I'll see him in a couple weeks at Accord anyway.
Yeah. You still got another one to go. You still got Accord coming up.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, listen, dude, absolutely awesome guy, man. Loved having him on here, and man, he poor Ray. Yeah. Listen, Rick, thank you for throwing in extra money again this weekend. Rick Redder, man, he threw in some extra dough for us for that street stock race up there. It was awesome, and really cars is the something, yeah. So Bethel Motor Speedway ran this past weekend, and kudos to those guys, man. They did what they could, dude. They had almost 200 cars in the pits, bro. We were stacked.
That's great. That's good.
We went to pull out for our feature, and we got curfewed.
Yeah, that's sucks.
It stunk for the guys down in from Long Island and stuff, and but I think Bethel tried to do the best they could to accommodate them, and dude, it was a really good weekend, man. It was a lot of fun, and finally beat that goddamn Kyle Welsh.
Yeah. You got the big trophy.
Yeah, man. So, he missed the heat race, and like I told him, it's 1,000 points for a heat race win. and 5 for a feature win. So.
Yeah, there you
Plus,
go.
they don't like them. But yeah, man, thank you so much to Bethel Motor Speedway, Bud DeGennaro, Rick Ryder, George Van Arnsdale, the Bauer Fines, all them guys, and my guys, Tony Gearhead, Jimmy Smith, cousin Larry O, man, that guy out there wheeling Wayne Taylor's car.
Oh,
And,
yeah?
it was a good weekend, man. It really was. Tanner Von Dorn, he was out there in the TQ. I'm not sure how he made out.
I saw
I
that.
didn't see how he did. I think Billy Deckerman won the modified race. I think Matt Crossan won the BMS mods. Richard Smith won the championship for the Enduros. What's his name? Danny Hootailing. He wins the Renegade. He won the overall Renegade deal championship, man. Cool for him. And Hyde wound up winning. What's his name there? We had him on the show here. I think the first show we had.
Yeah. Kenny.
Yeah, he won the full fender deal. Pro stock winner, I think, was Dave Demarest.
Yeah, I did see that.
I think he won that. Yeah. So, and then
what was it? The Frank Del Nero. I met him at Middletown. I saw he did he.
TBD was 5th. Thank you, Frank.
There's Frank right there. Frank, did you race Bethel Saturday? No. I met Frank at Middletown. He's with Grant Hilfiger. Cool dude.
Okay.
I didn't know. He was supposed to race up there. Like I said, I've been sick with this damn COVID. I haven't caught up on anything.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. Well, we want you to stay. Frank was awesome. 1 win and a second. Okay.
Okay. So they raced twice. Okay.
Yeah. So. But so I think let's see what's some of the other big ones there. Of course, Brett Hearn wins down in Charlotte. Dude, that was awesome. Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that's the happiest I've seen that guy grab the car in a long time. Win number 920. That was awesome.
Yeah. The guy has won so many races, and he got out of that car at Charlotte and just put his head on. Like, that's just raw emotion, man.
Yeah.
Because he gets out of that car, and it's like it could, to him, it could be the last.
Complete circle. It's funny because for years that man was booed and booed and booed and booed and booed, and that place went ape shit when he won it, dude. You know what I mean? How do you go from hating the guy to all of a sudden like, oh my god, dude, it's awesome that he won? You know what I mean?
No, I was rooting for him.
That's the most emotion I've seen come out of him in a long time, dude. That was awesome. That was awesome.
That's what I said too when he climbed out of the car.
And little Yankowski
the night before. Wow,
man.
Man, I said it when he was on the show, man. That kid is special. He's gonna, not many people really know who he is because he races down Jersey and PA.
Yeah.
But the people, especially that when you can go in there and drive the way he did, man, and got around Larry White, that was impressive, man.
Yeah, and then what is it? Matt Shepard, 8-time. What is he? 8-time now, Mr. Dirt Car Champion. Some shit like that.
Never heard of
her. He's like your number one fan, man. So, but all right, man. So that's gonna do it for me tonight. I'm done, man. It's a long weekend. I still ain't thought out from Saturday, so. But
so you're racing Accord or you're not racing Accord?
No. We will be there at the Gobbler, man. Youngest winner and one of the oldest winners in the back-to-back race. Yeah. Andy Green. Yeah, absolutely right on that one. Yeah, Yankowski was the youngest, and Brett, in his 60s, dude. Listen, man, that's hope for me. That means I still got another 20 some odd years to go. Man. That's awesome.
Yeah, maybe, huh? Your boss said maybe you might not be raising.
Did you see the pictures of my car?
Yeah, I saw them.
So we know how that happened. So I let Tony Gearhead drive my car in the Renegade race, and he fell out of the seat.
No phone books, huh?
He knew that there was a wreck coming, so he jumped to the back seat.
Oh, shit.
So absolutely my pleasure, man, to let that dude run my car, dude. He actually did all right, man. He finished 7th. He let some 4-cylinder dude whip his ass. That was awesome. But, so we got the Gobbler coming up, and see, there's Larry piping in. Yeah, he fell right to the back seat. So the Gobbler, I think they got modifieds, right? Sportsman.
Sportsman,
and I want to say an Enduro.
Yeah.
That is November 20th. Listen, I think the weather, should be good to go. You know,
I'm glad they moved it up. Usually
yeah,
it's
man.
after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I always thought it was right around 26, 27.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah, they moved it up. So hopefully the
good
weather.
stuff, man. I think only one year I've ever seen it canceled. That was a few years ago, and they ran it in the spring.
Springtime, yeah.
But yep, looking forward to that. We'll be there, and then that'll be it for us as far as racing. And then modifieds and stuff, and of course, yeah, no, Andy, you can have fun at the Turkey Derby, dude. I'm done. Listen, I'm done.
That's a cool event too.
Turkey Derby.
Yeah, Wall Stadium. That's
cool it's too far down for me.
It's down there. Yeah, it's a hike.
But the Joe Judge thing that went off pretty good. I remember seeing it
went off really good. We raised a lot of money.
Good.
Thanks for everybody that bought stuff and tuned in. It was definitely a great success. It was good. It was all for the Children's Hospital. So that's something Joe's been doing for years.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It's a good deal.
All right, man. So just keep track of our website, and it's going to kind of be hit and miss, I think, a little bit. The season's starting to wind down, and but very cool of Scooter there to get Frank on here with us, and that was
that was a cool deal.
Yeah, man, that was cool, man. Frank's a talker. That's cool. That was awesome.
That was good. Yeah.
So
it makes it easy.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah. So
heck yeah.
All right, man. So thank you all for watching. I'm tired of shit, man.
Bud says my fire alarm.
My new job. Yeah. So, all right, Bud, run. Stop.
Right. So, all right, man.
Folks. If you like what you see, subscribe down below, whatever the shit is they do there on Facebook and all that other stuff. Thank you so much for watching, Frank Cozze. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, man. I know he's a busy guy, man. He's a hardworking dude, and it was absolutely awesome. And so hopefully, maybe we'll see you guys before the Gobbler. We'll definitely see you after the Gobbler, because then we'll do a recap of that, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, there's Pete. Thanks, Pete. It was good getting them on.
Yeah, Pete. Thank you, sir. You're the man. Thank you so much. Middletown hates you, but we like you.
All right,
folks. We'll see you. Thank you so much. Listen, don't be on social media bashing your local racetrack, man. If you are, you're part of the problem. Go out and support local racing, and see you all soon.
Later.